Welcome to the John F. Gately Show. I'm John F. Gately, but you can call me Jack. I actually call myself Jack, too. So today's episode is all about Twitter permanently suspending Alex Berenson over coronavirus tweets. You probably heard about this in the last couple of days. Been covered on Fox News, on Twitter. And why is this important? Got some notes here. I don't do the teleprompter, so we got some notes. Why is this important? I mean, isn't Alex Berenson some type of anti-masker, anti-vaccine kook? Isn't he just kind of like a nut job? Why is this important? Well, I think the first thing we have to look at is what tweet he got banned for. Now, he's been suspended before, and he kind of knew this was coming. But I think it is important to find out what exact tweet he got banned for. You might remember him, of course, as being labeled by The Atlantic this past April as the pandemic's wrongest man. Do you say wrongest? I don't think that's how you say it. I think wrongest. That is like the worst headline, pandemic's wrong. I'm just going to say it wrongest. I know it's wrong, but I don't care. So what did he tweet? Well, this apparently is the tweet that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And I'm not going to fact check this for you because I don't think that this issue requires fact checking, and I'll get into that in a second. But here's the tweet that got him banned effectively. It doesn't stop the infection, meaning the vaccine, or transmission. And let's just stop right here. I said I wouldn't fact check it, but I'm going to say that here in beautiful Massachusetts, behind enemy lines, 30% of the people in the hospital with COVID are fully vaccinated. So, Alec, you might have a point there. Don't think of it as a vaccine. Think of it as, at its best, a therapeutic with a limited window of efficacy. And that's, of course, because there's a significant talk of now requiring a third shot, a booster shot. Who's to say that after you get the third shot, you won't need a fourth shot, I guess is what Alex's point. No, that wouldn't be my point of view. I think that's what Alex is saying. Then he goes on in a sentence that I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but it says he has terrible side effect profile and it must be dosed in advance of illness. And we want to mandate it. Insanity. So whether you agree with that or disagree with that, I would definitely call that a tweet which is within the realm of discussion. I mean, you might think it's crazy, but that's fine. That's what free speech is all about. It doesn't have to be right. What we're talking about here, and that's why I think this is so important, is the ability to compete in the marketplace of ideas surpasses in importance the ability to be right. You can be a complete nut job. You have the right to compete in the marketplace of ideas. I remember a lawsuit that was brought by the American Civil Liberties Union that defended the rights of the Nazis to march in Skokie, Illinois. And that was because while they're vile, awful, disgusting people and thoughts, they still had their right to free speech under the First Amendment. At least that's what the ACLU believed at the time. They probably wouldn't argue the same thing today. If you want to get into a deeper discussion about the the accuracy of Mr. Berenson's tweet, you could do that by going over to Legal Insurrection, and they kind of go through it statement by statement. I think that's a great story, and it is by, I'll give her credit, Leslie Eastman. It was published on August 30th. I think that's a great story, and you should probably go read it if you want to find out deeper. But I think this whole discussion stops before you even get to the accuracy of Mr. Berenson's tweet. I think more importantly is who has the right to participate in the marketplace of ideas. That, to me, is the most important thing. Why does society need kooks like Mr. Berenson? Why? Because in the long run, it's people like this that challenge the prevailing narrative and therefore keep the prevailing narrative honest, so to speak. Without that, then there is no challenge. There is no challenge. And there's got to be people in power have always got to think about somebody coming out and saying, you know what, you're full of baloney, right? Without that threat, whether it's at your local town level or county level or city level or Congress or whatever, without that threat that someone's going to be reading what you say and criticizing what you say, then basically we have, as Tucker Carlson, who seems to be Alex Berenson's most prominent defender, we have totalitarianism, don't we? I mean, if you're not allowed to question, even discuss in certain terms, the nature of the prevailing narrative, the nature of government policy, then what type of society do we really have? What type of free speech do we have? And I think that's the more important portion of this debate, not whether or not what Mr. Berenson said was accurate or not accurate, although I do have some sympathy for what he definitely said. He did provide a update on his Substack, because now you can find him on Substack, and he's been on Substack for quite some time. Update on Twitter, he's considering a legal fight. And you can go over to Substack and learn more about that. To give you the other side of it, if you head over to the Daily Beast, they're saying that this is just a grift, that he's going to raise money to file some lawsuit, and then he's either not going to file the lawsuit or he's just going to kind of pussyfoot the lawsuit or whatever. He's going to lose, and then he's going to pocket the money. That this is really just a fundraiser for Mr. Berenson. But I don't have any belief that way. There's nothing that leads me to believe that. I do think we have an important case here, though, or Mr. Berenson might have an important case. And one of the topics that I think, if he brings it, it will definitely be a complex case, as he admits, is whether or not Twitter is effectively a marketplace of ideas that is a public accommodation. And he's going to be leaning, and he mentioned this in his interview with Tucker Carlson last night, on this famous case called, I think it was called the Prune Yard, you can look it up, in California, that carved out a public speech section, free speech section, in shopping malls. And we'll find out whether or not that was from, those facts of that case was from 1975, just to give you, and the Supreme Court of the United States decided in 1980. So it's a little bit dated. And so we're going to maybe find out at some point of whether or not those concepts are transferable to the early 21st century. It seems to me that there is a significant case to be made, and I'm not an attorney. Thank God I didn't go to law school. Smart move on my part. I'm not an attorney, but it seems to me that there's a significant case to be made that Twitter is acting as an agent of the government in regulating speech on its platform and the other platforms as well. And while the government's not doing it directly, they're doing it in coordination with the government, cooperation with the government, and that cooperation is effectively government regulation of speech. And I think that whether it's Mr. Berenson or somebody else is going to bring a good case, they're going to win that in time. All right, so hey, I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack from behind enemy lines in beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts. Thanks for watching.